You're traveling through the unknown, a journey beyond the corners of reality, where the shadows whisper and the chill runs deep. Welcome to the dimension where your deepest fears are given form. This is The Midnight Mystery.
Welcome to The Midnight Mystery. This episode is called National Emergency, the 13th Night. In each episode, we delve into the shadowed corners of our existence, bringing you tales of the eerie, the uncanny, and the downright terrifying. From the realms of the supernatural to the depths of the human psyche, no stone is left unturned, no dark secret left hidden. As the clock once again draws near midnight, prepare to embark on another adventure into the uncanny, the eerie, the horrifying, the midnight mystery. I had always prided myself on being the rock, the anchor for Lila ever since Lily passed away. The irony wasn't lost on me, their names mirroring each other, a constant reminder of the void left by her mother. Every morning, as I got ready for my job at the emergency services desk, I'd catch a glimpse of Lila, usually lost in a world of her own, crafting stories or drawing imaginary friends. Her vibrant imagination was a gift, but it also worried me, especially with the looming threat of the 13th. The close-knit community we lived in was a godsend. Neighbors looked out for each other, kids played in clusters, and there was always a reassuring hum of life. Yet, hushed conversations about the evil spirit had started to punctuate that routine, especially among the adults. I had hoped to shield Lila from those tales, but children have a way of picking up on things. One evening, as I cooked dinner, Lila approached me, her deep blue eyes filled with a mix of wonder and concern.
"Daddy," she started, "is it true about the ghost lady who comes on the 13th?
I hesitated for a moment, wiping my hands on the apron.
"Where did you hear that, sweetie?"
"Mrs. Jenkins was talking to Mr. Thompson about it," she replied. "She said we can't look at her or she'll take us away." I sighed, pulling up a chair and gesturing for Lila to sit. "Lila, there are many stories out there. Some of them are just tales, and some carry a bit of truth. It's important, especially on the 13th, to stay inside and be safe." "But why, Daddy? Why can't we go out and play?" "The world is full of mysteries, Lila," I said gently, "and not all of them are meant for curious little girls to solve. Just know that I'll always protect you." She seemed to ponder this, her small fingers playing with the tablecloth. "Like how you couldn't protect Mommy?" The words hit me like a sledgehammer. Every fiber of my being wanted to cradle her, to reassure her that her mother's passing wasn't something I had control over. But before I could formulate a response, the television in the living room blared, interrupting our conversation. We interrupt this program for an important nationwide announcement. As the 13th of the month approaches, all citizens are advised to remain indoors after sunset. Ensure all windows and doors are locked and avoid any direct interaction with outside entities. Lila's eyes widened, and I could see the pieces clicking into place in her mind. The broadcast wasn't just a routine warning. It was a solemn testament to the very real danger lurking just beyond our doors. "Daddy, I'm scared," Lila whispered, her voice quivering. I pulled her into a tight embrace, resting my chin atop her head. "I know, sweetie, but remember, we have each other. We'll keep the lights dim, play some board games, and maybe even camp out in the living room. We'll make it a fun night, okay?" She nodded against my chest, her tiny hands gripping the fabric of my shirt. "Promise you won't leave me, Daddy?" "I promise," I whispered back, the weight of that commitment heavy on my shoulders. As evening descended, I could feel the knot in my stomach growing tighter. The whispers and hushed warnings from the community seemed louder in the echoing silence of my thoughts. I knew what had to be done. Moving methodically, I began covering the windows, using thick dark curtains and any spare fabric I could find. The dimness that settled in the living room mirrored the foreboding I felt. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustling leaf outside sent my heart racing. But I had to be strong, for Lila. She watched me with wide eyes as I moved from window to window, securing each one. "Daddy, are we playing hide and seek with the ghost lady?" I paused, looking at her innocent face. "In a way, sweetie. We're making sure she can't find us." Once the windows were covered, I moved to the doors, double and triple checking each lock. As I tightened the front door bolt, I called out to her, "Lila, can you grab the flashlight from the kitchen drawer?" She scampered off, returning with the flashlight in hand. "Here, Daddy, but why do we need it?" Just in case, sweetie, I replied, forcing a smile, tucking it into my back pocket. With the house fortified, I knelt down in front of Lila, her small face illuminated in the dim room. It was crucial she understood the gravity of the situation. Lila, I began, holding her hands in mine. This is very important. Tonight, we have some rules we need to follow. Her eyebrows furrowed. Rules? I nodded. Yes, very special rules just for tonight. First, we must be as quiet as mice. Can you do that? She nodded vigorously, placing a finger on her lips. Shh. That's perfect, I said, smiling. Second rule, even if you hear something or someone calling you, you can't peek outside, okay? But what if it's Mrs. Jenkins or Tommy from next door? I tightened my grip on her hands. Especially then, Lila. Promise me. I promise, Daddy, she whispered. And the last rule, I continued, is the most important. We have to stay together, always. No wandering around, all right? She hugged me, burying her face in my chest. I'll stay with you, Daddy. Always. I held her close, her warmth a balm to my anxiety. We're going to be okay, Lila. We've got our rules, our flashlight, and each other. She looked up at me, her eyes searching for reassurance. And the ghost lady can't hurt us? I kissed her forehead. She can't hurt us. We're safe inside, together. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy, a stillness pressing upon us. The only light came from a dimmed lantern, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Outside, the darkness seemed almost palpable, a thick veil separating our safe haven from the unseen terror beyond. We sat on the living room floor, Lila nestled against me, playing with a small toy. But the silence was oppressive, punctuated only by our quiet breaths and the distant, haunting murmurs that echoed faintly, almost like a lullaby gone awry. Suddenly, the landline on the nearby table rang, slicing through the stillness. I jumped, my heart racing. Lila clutched my arm, her eyes wide. Who's that, Daddy? I don't know, sweetie, I whispered, slowly reaching for the phone, my instincts kicking in. It could be someone from the community in need of help. Hello? My voice trembled slightly. John, it's Greg from next door. His voice sounded distorted, an edge of panic evident. I forgot to secure one of the back windows. Do you think it's too late? While I tried to offer Greg some semblance of reassurance, my eyes inadvertently drifted away from Lila. Her curiosity, that ever-present flame, was sparked by the foreign whispers outside. Slowly, almost in a trance, she inched towards the covered window. Just stay inside, Greg. Keep quiet and away from any windows. You'll be okay. I whispered urgently into the phone. As I hung up, my gaze refocused on the room and my heart dropped. Lila, eyes wide in shock, had pulled back a tiny corner of the curtain, her small face pale in the dim light. Lila! I hissed, rushing to her side, pulling the curtain back into place. What did you see? Her lips quivered, her voice a mere whisper. It was just a shadow, Daddy. But the whispers, they're louder now. My heart sank. We had been so careful, taken every precaution, but the lure of the unknown had proven too strong. And now the protective barrier of ignorance had been shattered. The spirit knew we were here. Clasping Lila's hand, I could feel her trembling. It's going to be okay, sweetie. We just need to stick to our rules. We'll be quiet, and we'll stay together. The ominous murmurs outside grew steadily louder, each whisper winding its way into our sanctuary, chilling our spines. They seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Lila clung to me, burying her face in my shirt. I'm sorry, Daddy. I just wanted to see. I held her tight, pushing down the rising panic. I know, baby. Curiosity is a part of who you are. We'll face this together, okay? She nodded against me, tears wetting my shirt. I could feel the weight of our situation pressing down on me, the responsibility to keep Lila safe heavier than ever. With every passing moment, the atmosphere in the house seemed to grow more oppressive. Each whisper, each subtle creak, seemed to hint at the spirit's presence. The realization that we had inadvertently exposed ourselves weighed on me like a ton of bricks. The living room, once our safe haven, now felt exposed. Lila, I whispered, pulling her close. We need to go to the basement. It's the safest place right now. She nodded, her eyes filled with terror. I could feel her heartbeat against my chest, a rapid thud mirroring my own. Taking a deep breath, I slowly cracked open the door leading to the hallway. The dimness outside was punctuated by fleeting shadows, making it almost impossible to distinguish between the ordinary and the supernatural. Holding Lila's hand tightly, we tiptoed our way, avoiding any creaky floorboards that I had come to know over the years. Each step was agonizingly slow. Every rustle of fabric, every breath felt amplified, threatening to betray our position. My ears strained for any sign of the spirit, dreading its approach. Suddenly a cold draft rushed through, sending a shiver down my spine. Ahead, the entrance to the basement loomed, a beacon of safety. But just as we neared it, a chilling silhouette appeared outside the nearby door, the spirit's form vaguely discernible, a haunting mirage. Lila's grip on my hand tightened, and I could feel her breath catch, a sob forming. In that split second, I knew if she made a sound it would be over. Instinctively, I pulled her into me, covering her mouth gently with my hand, muffling the involuntary cry. Her wide eyes met mine, a wordless plea for protection, for safety. We stood there, frozen in time, mere feet from the spirit. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, each one dripping with malevolence. It felt like an eternity, the space between heartbeats stretching thin, threatening to snap. But then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the silhouette seemed to drift away, the presence receding. The oppressive atmosphere lightened just a tad, granting us a sliver of hope. With renewed urgency, I opened the basement door, guiding Lila down the stairs. Once we were safely inside, I locked the door behind us, hoping against hope that the layers of wood and stone would keep the spirit at bay. In the dim light of the basement, Lila's face was streaked with tears. She wrapped her arms around me, her small frame shaking.
I'm so scared, Daddy.
I kissed the top of her head, trying to infuse her with some of my rapidly dwindling strength.
I know, sweetie, but we're safe now, okay? We just have to wait it out.
Huddled together in the cold, damp basement, surrounded by old boxes and memories, we tried to find solace in each other's presence. But the game of cat and mouse we had unwittingly played with the spirit left a lasting mark, a reminder of the fragility of our existence and the lengths we'd go to protect our loved ones. The cold basement floor felt unforgiving beneath us, but the weight of our recent ordeal made it impossible to move. Lila nestled into me, her small body trembling from both the cold and fear. I wrapped my arms around her, trying to transfer any warmth and comfort I could muster.
Daddy?
Lila's voice quivered. Can you tell me a story? Something to take my mind off all of this? I hesitated. My mind raced, searching for a tale, a distraction, but all I could think of was her. My beautiful wife, Lila's mother. Taking a deep breath, I decided it was time. Time for Lila to know the truth.
All right, sweetie, I began, my voice heavy with emotion. I'll tell you a story about your mom.
Lila looked up, her tear-streaked face showing a mix of surprise and curiosity.
Really?
I nodded, taking a moment to gather my thoughts.
Many years ago, before you were born, your mom and I lived in this very house. She was incredible, Lila. Kind-hearted, brave, always thinking of others.
Lila's eyes sparkled, picturing her mother in her mind.
I know, Daddy. You've told me stories of her before.
I sighed, my chest tightening. Yes, but there's one I haven't told you. It's about a night much like this one. She leaned in closer, sensing the gravity of what I was about to share. What happened? One evening, I began, my voice trembling. The spirit was due to arrive. We knew the rules just as we do now. We had taken every precaution. But then in the midst of that tense night, we heard frantic knocks on our door. It was Mrs. Henderson, from down the street. She was frantic, terrified, saying that her son was trapped outside. Lila's breath caught, her eyes widening.
Did Mom go out to help?
I nodded, tears forming in my eyes. She did.
Your mom, she couldn't bear the thought of anyone being in danger. So she stepped outside, determined to help.
But, Lila whispered, realization dawning. She didn't come back, did she? I shook my head, the weight of the memory crushing me. No, she didn't. The spirit, it took her. The next morning, when the danger had passed, we found Mrs. Henderson's son. He was safe, hiding in his own basement, having made his way back home. But your mom, we never saw her again. Lila buried her face in my chest, her small body racked with sobs. I miss her, Daddy. My heart broke anew.
the pain as fresh as it was on that fateful night. Me too, sweetie. Every day. Every moment. We sat in silence, lost in our shared grief. The weight of the truth hung between us, but it was also a bond, a shared understanding of the depth of our loss. "That's why I need to keep you safe, Lila," I whispered, my voice raw. "I can't lose you too. Not to this evil." Lila looked up, determination shining in her eyes. "I promise, Daddy. I'll be careful. For Mom." I hugged her close, finding solace in our shared pain and love. The spirit had taken so much from us, but it couldn't take away our memories, our bond, or our determination to face the darkness together. The night felt like a lifetime. Every minute that passed in the damp, dark basement felt like an hour, each second dragging us closer to dawn, yet it always seemed just out of reach. Lila's breathing had steadied somewhat, but I could still feel the tension in her, a palpable fear that mirrored my own. The whispers persisted, winding their way through the cracks and crevices, a chilling reminder of the spirit's presence. "Daddy?" Lila's soft voice broke the silence. "Do you remember the lullaby Mom used to sing? The one about love and dreams?" I nodded, the memory of my wife's gentle voice lulling Lila to sleep filling my mind. "Of course, sweetie. Dreams of the moonlight, love shining so bright." Lila's face lit up. I hesitated, the idea seeming almost too simple. "I don't know, Lila." She looked into my eyes, her gaze filled with a mixture of hope and desperation. "Please, Daddy." Touched by her innocence and unwavering belief, I finally nodded. "All right, sweetie. Let's sing." Taking a deep breath, our voices began to rise, first timidly, then with increasing confidence. The words of the lullaby echoed through the basement. "Dreams of the moonlight, love shining so bright. Hold me close, never let go, through the still of the night. Stars up above, watching with glee, love's gentle power, setting us free." As the first light of dawn began to filter in, the whispers disappeared entirely, replaced by a calm, serene silence. Exhausted but hopeful, Lila and I cautiously ascended the stairs, leaving the confines of the basement behind. Opening the door, the early morning light bathed us, a stark contrast to the terror of the night before. The world outside looked almost ordinary, as if the spirit had never been there. As we stepped out, we were met by our neighbors and friends, all emerging from their homes, each with tales of survival and resilience. Some hugged, others wept, and many simply stood in quiet reflection, grateful for the dawn. Mrs. Henderson approached, her face lined with fatigue. "John, Lila," she whispered, pulling us into a tight embrace. "We made it." She pulled back slightly, her eyes searching ours with a glint of determination. "Hopefully, I'll see you both on the 14th next month." I hope you enjoyed our episode. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, our brave listeners. Your presence in this shared journey into the unknown is what fuels our stories. Your fascination is our motivation. Did this episode send chills down your spine? Then leave your comments, your thoughts and theories, your own midnight mysteries. Your feedback is the beacon that guides us through the uncharted territories of our stories. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel. By joining the Midnight Mystery family, you won't miss out on a single chilling tale. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know when a new episode lurks around the corner, ready to pull you back into the shadowy depths of the unknown. This is the Midnight Mystery signing off, leaving you with a simple reminder. When the clock strikes 12, fear the silence, for that's when our tales come to life. Good night, Midnight listeners, and remember, not all who wander into the dark are lost.